Hello there, welcome to my channel. I'm Angela from artery.com. I have been missing for a few weeks and most of you know why. If you're not interested in any updates, then just skip ahead. I'll put some chapters in the video so you can just skip the parts that you don't want to watch. So the reason I've been missing is that I broke my foot and I've been laid up for a few weeks. It's a kind of fracture that they can't cast. So I've just been hobbling around on this raw break, if you like. It hasn't been too bad. So I've just been sort of resting it in bed for the past few weeks. But I have been cleared to drive and to potter around and just do what I can. I don't have to stay off it, but just be sensible. And if it hurts, rest. It's as simple as that. So I'm now at my desk. And I thought what we could look at today are card layers, like mats and layers. Because some people are a bit unsure about them, but I think they're absolutely brilliant for card. I don't make my card without card layers, mats and layers. They're just brilliant. There are lots of ways to make them. So you don't have to use a card layer or a mat or anything. You can just use a card base. What I do suggest, if you're just using plain card base and stamping on there or adding die cuts and your sentiments, do use a thick card stock, or else it will just probably collapse and bend and it won't look very nice. This is 300 GSM. This is just a standard size. So if you are making mats and layers for your cards, it depends on the size of the card that you make, and this is just a standard A2, like American size, 5.5 by 4.25. So you can make layers with just a ruler and a pair of scissors. You can just sort of measure them out. I don't like doing that. It's time consuming. But if you have a pencil and you wanted to measure a layer, so like I said, this is 5.5 by 4.25. If I wanted a layer that was like 1/4 of an inch smaller all the way around, I would, where is it? I would measure it at, that's 4, I would measure it at 4 on the width, so you can't see there, and then I would measure it at 5.25 there, so you would get the same. I would measure it on all 4 sides and draw the lines, like line them up and cut it out that way with scissors. But that is a long drawn out way. But I mean, if all you have is a ruler and scissors, you don't have trimmers or anything like that, then obviously that's going to work just as well. It's just takes a bit longer, that's all. Another way is these are my favorite ways to make card layers, because there's no measuring involved basically. These are layer guides. I've used them on my videos before, and they're not cheap, but they have saved so much time. I mean, you can see they've been well used. They've got glue all over them, but these are very easy to use. So this is going to be on a mat, a black mat, and then the black mat is going to go onto there like that, but obviously they all need trimming down. So instead of cutting the black one down first, which I would if I was using the ruler and scissors, I'm actually going to cut this first. Now I want that to be 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card base, and then I want that to be 1/4 of an inch smaller than that. So I'm going to cut this to 5 by 3 3/4, which is 1/2 an inch smaller than the card base. By 3 3/4. Right, so that, when that goes on there, I'm going to have the black, I want a black border around there to make it stand out. So there are a couple of ways I can do this. I can put that on there like that, and if I just wanted a 1/16 of an inch, that's going to be enough. So I think I'll do that actually. So when you use the layering guides, I would strongly suggest you use a cutting mat. And the beauty about using the layering guides is that just needs to be stuck on any old how. It doesn't have to particularly be straight, especially if it's on a bigger piece of card, but I'm going to have to be careful because there's not much room to manoeuvre on here. So just going to use my tape runner. You can use whichever glue that you like best. I'm using this because it's fast and it dries faster. Right, so I'm going to put that on there. You wouldn't have to be this careful if the black was a bit larger. You'll see why in a minute. So on here you have different layers or different measurements. So I would normally use the 1/8 inch, but because I haven't got much space around there, I'm going to use the 1/16, which is on that one. You can see the 1/16 is there. I will leave a link to my video on exactly how to use these. Now, instead of using my usual craft knife, I have bought this. It's like a finger blade cutter thing. I'll leave a link to it in the description because it's really good. I really like it. So the way to use this, you can see that the blade is there. You make sure the blade is facing down. Then you insert your index finger in and you hold it like a pen. And honestly, it is so stable. I'm still having to be careful. I should wear my finger protectors really. But what you do is just basically line up your card layer, your layer guide. Right, so there you have like the same distance all the way around, the same width all the way around. That's a really good way to do it. I shall put this back on. I'm always I try to be very careful with my blades. I'm sure I'll have an accident with that at some point. But if you don't have these, you can of course just use your trimmer. So I've got this, like I said, this is 5.5 by 4.25. This time I'm going to cut the black mat first. Don't need that anymore. And I'm going to use a trimmer. This is my favourite one because you can cut and score with it. I love it. So I don't need that out, do I? So what I'm going to do is cut it 1/4 inch smaller than this. So this is going to be 5.25 by 4. So that will go on there like that, and there should be the same space all the way around. And then the white card, I'm going to cut another 1/4 inch smaller than that. So this will be 5 by 3 3/4. So once you've got your mats and layers cut, that one will go on there like that. And then when you've put everything on that you need to, you can stick that on there like that. And you've got 2 even mats and layers there. You can also, if you're using your mats and layers, I mean, like I say, this all depends on the size of your card and the distance that you want around each layer. So you don't have to use blank paper. You can use pattern paper. You can also use nesting dies. So they don't have to be from the same pack, but this one actually was. So for this one, I use that die for that piece, and I use the scallop die for that piece. And you can just put them on sort of like that. Of course, you would have to make a bigger card base, but I mean, if you wanted to, you could even cut down patterned paper to put on your card base. Cut it down to whichever size you wanted and just put all of your decorations on there. You don't have to have 2 layers, you can just have 1 layer, you can have 3 layers. It's entirely up to you. Like I said, there are different ways to do it. It all depends on the look that you want. So I'll just give you a quick example. So this one has a black mat there, and it has a patterned layer on there, and I've just put obviously a couple of die cuts on there. Same for that one. This one just has like 1 patterned layer on, and then I've just decorated the front. So this one was using black for the card base, and then I just put 1 layer on there of paper of card that I'd embossed, and then just put a few die cuts on. So you can get different looks depending on the method that you use. So there you go. Very easy, nothing to it really, but mats and layers can make a big difference to your card. You can just, like I say, you can just use them plain like that and then decorate. Or you can use them, you can use pattern paper, and you can use nesting dies just for different looks. Well, like I say, the width and the length of them is entirely up to you. It depends on how much you want the border showing around each mat and each layer. Or if you have any ideas, or if you would like to see more videos of this kind when it comes to card making and things you can do, please let me know in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it. I really do. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye now.